A new law allows troops to seek compensation from the military for medical malpractice at the Defense Department's healthcare facilities, and that's unusual. For more than a year after the law was passed, many victims haven't received a payment. Brigida Santos joins me now to talk about this story. Brigida, since this law was enacted, how many medical malpractice claims have been filed at the Pentagon?
According to the most recent data available, as of April, at least 227 cases are still pending. The landmark law passed as part of the 2020 National Defense Authorization Act, but the final rule will take effect this July. So far, total compensation sought by troops or their surviving family members now exceeds $2 billion. And the reason this law is so important is because troops and their families have been barred from suing the military for injury or death at military hospitals since 1950, when a Supreme Court ruling concluded that the government is not liable for injuries to service members. While the new rules still don't allow troops to sue, they do allow troops to seek compensation for harm caused by military health providers for the first time in cases unrelated to combat, and they can do so by filing administrative claims with military branches.
What kinds of malpractice have troops been subjected to at the military from the medical facilities over these years? I mean, you hear these stories. I mean, since I practice law, I hear the most horrible stories that take place in these facilities where the soldier has no recourse. What types of things should we expect to see?
Yeah, lawmakers were inspired to pass the new law after hearing many stories about troops not getting adequate health care at military medical facilities. And for example, in 2017, military health providers failed to see a lung mass during a CT scan on retired Special Forces officer Richard Stayskull. They told him he had asthma or pneumonia, but he was then diagnosed with stage 4 terminal lung cancer by a civilian doctor. DoD-employed healthcare providers in military hospitals and clinics are no longer exempt from facing financial consequences for negligence or wrongful acts against troops. And Congress passed this law despite objections from the Pentagon, so they're trying to make it right by these troops.
Well, there's no risk for the doctor, is there? I mean, the troop comes in, the soldier comes in, they cut off the wrong leg. Gee, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. There's this immunity that exists under what they call the Ferris document, the Ferris doctrine that's now been overturned. And as we look at it, it's long past due for this. So why is it taking so long for the Pentagon to go ahead and start paying these claims now that we know this is the law? This is the law of the land now. It's happening.
Yeah, the Pentagon has been dragging its feet. It's still finalizing its required compensation policy, but it does now have a uniform standard and procedures that are outlined for considering and processing claims. While this is a step in the right direction, preventing troops from having their cases heard in civilian courtrooms means that compensation can be limited by the military. There will be no discovery process for claimants to build their cases upon. They won't be able to, ask questions of doctors about things that went wrong. The review process will not be transparent, and there will be no judicial review after a settlement is adjudicated by the military.
Brigida, thank you for joining me. This is a beginning, at least. This gives a soldier a chance to get good medical care, because now the government is going to be responsible for putting the wrong doctor in the wrong place without the kind of background check that doctor ought to have. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Mike.
Juul has been in the hot seat since 2019 after the company was found to be aggressively marketing its product to children. Meanwhile, the FDA has yet to crack down on their e-cigarettes, despite users reporting seizures, lung disease, and strokes. I have Madeline Penley with me to talk about this. Wow, seizures, strokes, the FDA completely sitting on the sidelines, right, not doing what they're supposed to do. Did I get that right?
You did. So this is just the latest issue we're having with Juul. As you mentioned, we've been dealing with this litigation for years. There are problems with marketing to children, which we'll get into. Now we've got seizures. And so essentially the seizures are being caused by nicotine toxicity, which just means you're being exposed to more nicotine than your body can handle. And it causes other things like respiratory failure as well.
Okay, so the FDA responded to these seizures how? There's no question they're getting these reports.
Right.
People are dying of seizures.
Right.
They're dying of a list of things, and the FDA sits well, we're going to do it someday. That's been going on about 5 years.
Yeah, and so they did what they typically do. It's this non-committal answer of, well, we can't prove e-cigarettes are causing these seizures. But recently they did acknowledge that due to the volume and uptick in reporting of these seizures, that there's probably a correlation there that does need to be investigated. When? I don't know, but at least they said it. And they also mentioned that there's likely more cases out there than we're currently aware of because of the issue with self-reporting, which is all the information the FDA has right
Who
now.
are these people at FDA? I mean, who the hell are they?
They're people that used to work in corporations, so they don't care.
Okay, so this isn't Juul's only problem. They've been hit for going out and specifically trying to market to children.
Yes.
Goofy grape cigarettes, Ollie Ollie orange, Susie strawberry. It's like candy. And that's been going on for 5 years. It's been reported for about 5 years. And the FDA has done nothing for 5 years until finally they get hit, right?
Right. And actually, earlier this year, Juul settled with the Attorney General of North Carolina for $40 million to resolve those exact allegations that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And so the way they've been marketing to children is they use, young people in their ads, so people who at least appear to be teenagers. They made their device look like a USB or a flash drive that kids take to and from school anyway, so it's very discreet, it blends in. And then the flavors. So they're using candy and fruit, stuff that obviously appeals to children more so than adults, so they can market their
They
product.
had Juul Children's Camp. Did you know this?
Yes.
Where kids went to Juul Children's Camp and they were introduced. Now, what they said was, well, we're only doing the camp so we can talk to them about the dangers of smoking. But by the way, we've got Ollie Ollie Orange here. We've got Goofy Grape. You might really like these things.
Right.
What does it take for the FDA to say enough is enough? I know I'm working for the FDA, and I know I want to go to work for corporate America. But at some point, doesn't your decency meter kick in? Doesn't your shame meter kick in?
You would hope so. And the FDA has already acknowledged that there's been an 80% increase in high school vaping, a 50% increase in middle school vaping. People younger than 13, all in the last few years, all since Juul has been on the market. And so Juul did pull their fruit flavors, as a result of all of this, but they're still hoping to get permission to continue selling their menthol and tobacco flavors because they think it's safer than smoking.
Full disclosure, we're the ones that brought the case against the tobacco industry. We started that case right here. We have all the documents. I know the documents really well. The documents show that the Juul company is using exactly the same marketing scheme that all of the tobacco companies used. This isn't new. It's not new to the FDA. The truth is the FDA simply won't do their job because they want a job with corporate America. They're owned by corporate America.
Exactly.
Thank you for joining me, okay?